Hi there, this is Sarah. This is a brief video to talk through secularisation in the USA. So at this point, you should have already studied secularisation and the arguments in general, and you'll start to notice that you look at secularisation in the Western world, and the criticisms are that the argument's quite Eurocentric. So we would expect this same secularisation to be happening in America, but America presents as a bit of an anomaly because the data tells us that people are still incredibly religious in America. Which therefore goes against a lot of the arguments we've got, like existential security theory and the ideas that the more developed, more economically developed a country is, the less there'll be a need for religion. So we're going to unpick some of these arguments and see what we can evaluate today. So there are arguments for the USA continuing to be very religious. We see Christianity talked about and socially acceptable, socially expected in some ways within the USA. We've seen presidents throughout time, George Bush, historical presidents speak very openly about the importance of Christianity. Even Barack Obama, talked about Christianity as part of his life. And then, of course, Donald Trump, who has a huge amount of support from this Bible Belt area of America, talks about his Christianity as well. And just to give you a very recent example, here is a quote from an interview with Donald Trump after he had COVID. So this is a recent example from 2020. And he was saying it was great how many Americans were praying for him and his family, and there were miracles coming down from heaven. And I meant it when I said this, and Melania and I are very thankful to God for looking out for our family and returning us to good health. So very, this is a whitehouse.gov article, and it's a Q&A, with President Trump. So a nice, reliable source. Okay, so we've got this real engagement from the political leadership of America. We've got this Bible Belt area, there's a huge amount of religion there. We've also got the new Christian right as well, that's very predominant and very kind of socially acceptable in America to be part of. We've also got a lot of studies in the American media, a lot of sociological studies that show that Americans are very religious. So we've got this study that says more than half of American adults, 55% of them, pray daily. When you compare that to 6% of people in the UK, 25% of people in Canada, the average in Europe being 22%, 55% of American adults praying daily or saying they pray daily is a big deal. So we've definitely got some evidence that America may be this kind of anomaly of, where there isn't a secularization present. So let's go to some of our core sociologists. Wilson in the 60s told us that 45% of Americans go to church on a Sunday. This was in 1962, so it is a bit out of date, but it kind of sets the scene for the research we're going to look at. But even then, Wilson didn't believe that going to church was a symbol of deep religious belief. He felt it was just part of the American way of life, and it was just expected, and it's what people did. And Bruce then picks this up in 2011, and we know Steve Bruce has a lot to say on the subject of religion, and he agrees with this, and he argues that the USA is definitely becoming more secular. So he's kind of saying, Wilson's on the right lines here. USA is becoming more secular. Bruce cites three core reasons: declining church attendance, secularization from within, so the kind of watering down and changing of the religious beliefs and rules, and then this idea of religious diversity and relativism that's kind of coming in America, and therefore making religion a lot more palatable for a diverse society. So we can then take this a bit further, and we can look at Hadaway, and Hadaway actually got really critical with some of this data. And Hadaway said, look, these opinion polls are saying that 40% of people are attending church, and that's been consistent since the 1940s. And Hadaway's like, I don't really trust this. So what Hadaway did was went in and researched all of the statistics, and what Hadaway's findings was that these statistics had been exaggerated by more than 80%. And then as the years went on, it started to show that this exaggeration gap was getting wider and wider. And Bruce commented on this as well. So Bruce and Hadaway both saying it's social desirability. People are saying they're religious because it's seen as acceptable. That contributes to the inflated figures, where actually there is a secularization happening in America.